Hey y'all, I wanted to do a quick video today on the difference between market value and the tax assessed value, commonly referred to as tax appraisals. I hear lots of people all the time saying, hey, my house is appraised at X. What they're really talking about is the tax appraisal or the tax assessment. So just to quickly explain what the two are, market value is what your home would sell for in a reasonable amount of time. Let's call it 60 to 90 days, what a home would sell for. The tax assessed value is the value at which the county assesses your property so they can tax it. So they have a tax rate, let's call it 2 to 3% in the Austin area. And they're going to assess your property a certain value and apply that tax rate to it. That's how they figure out what your property taxes are going to be. So market value, tax assessed value, what do they have to do with each other? Believe it or not, they don't have almost anything to do with each other. So of course, the tax assessed value, that determines how much the property taxes are. If your property is assessed way higher than it's worth, that means that the taxes are going to be much higher, meaning the potential buyer is going to look and say, hey, wow, I know they're trying to sell this property for $500,000, would expect taxes around $8,000 to $10,000, but it's assessed at $700 or $650 and the taxes are actually $13,000. I can't pay a payment that has $13,000 a year taxes in it. Not interested. It's a good reason to protest your property taxes. Again, and I'm going to explain why. Because the market value is not something that the tax assessor has access to see. So in a lot of counties, a lot of states and cities, they're able to get the sales data, and that makes it very easy to set the tax assessed value for properties. You can say, hey, the neighbor sold at 500. This house looks pretty dang similar to the neighbor, so I'm going to assess it at 500. In Austin specifically, they don't have access to that sales data, and they don't have access to the interior of the home. So that makes it really hard to assess things properly. And lots of times you'll see the tax assessments are wildly off one way or another. Generally, they're higher than the market value or what the property is actually worth or what the comps the neighborhood have sold for. Again, because they don't have this data. So it makes it hard for the tax assessor because they have a limited amount of data. They'll do tricky things like they'll send letters out to you when you bought a house, asking you what you bought it for, asking for information about the house. Don't ever answer those because your property taxes are going to go up if you do that. But good news for you on the tax assessed value side. You can fight that. So you can go and you can protest your taxes. You can do it yourself or you can hire somebody else to do it. One of the easiest ways to do this is I referred to earlier, a lot of people buy houses that are assessed higher than what they paid for. So the house I'm standing in right now is assessed higher than what I paid for it. So all I had to do was send the ALTA or the closing statement to the tax assessor and say, hey, your assessment's wrong. Here's what I paid for it. Here's the market value. Immediately drops it to it. You can get a lot more aggressive and granular than that when you're protesting your taxes. I use a service called Home Tax Shield. They do it every year for me, like clockwork. Every year they're fighting it. Every year they actually get it reduced, which is great for me. And they do that on all the properties I own here in the Austin area. So rental properties and personal residence, I get the taxes pushed down every year. Another thing you can do to get your tax assessed value that they're going to value your taxes on down is make sure you take advantage of all the exemptions, homestead exemptions, VA exemptions, over 65 exemptions, disabled veteran exemptions, all that kind of stuff. That's not the point of this video. When it comes to market value, that is purely the value at which your property would sell in a reasonable amount of time. And that's going to be with the help of an agent like myself. We're going to help you value the property. We're going to help you price it and put it on the market. Believe it or not, when I do this, the tax assessed value is nowhere in my mind. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, hey, we either need to protest these taxes or we need to make sure we have the property taxes right on the listing. But it doesn't come into play at all when I'm valuing a property listed on the MLS. What does come into play, all the properties have sold in your general area that are very similar to yours. So like things like, is it 2-story or 1-story? Is it 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms? Obviously the square footage is the biggest factor there. but also the quality of the property. So if I have two 2,000 square foot houses and they're the exact same size in the exact same area, but one is completely remodeled and one hasn't been touched in 20 years, of course the price is going to be way different there. So that's what you're looking at when you're talking about market value, is comparable sales. Tax assessment, again, they're making a very educated guess that has nothing to do with your market value. But if you want to get the most for your home, make sure you're protesting that every year. So when you go to sell it, somebody shows up and says, wow, these taxes are really low. I've had that happen when I've sold personal properties here in Austin. I've gone around and protested my taxes on everything. When I go to sell it, they say, oh my gosh, how did you get your tax assessment so low? It's going to help you sell. So on the tax assessment, you want that as low as possible. And that can help you get that market value up, or will help it sell faster, guarantee it. But don't confuse the tax assessed value as a tax appraisal. I hear that all the time. It's not a formal appraisal. It's not done by a licensed appraiser. It's a tax assessor. They may have licensed appraisers on staff, but they don't get to come into the home and they don't have sales data. So it's harder to get the good values. But the market value, that's what matters to you. If you ever need market value on your home, reach out. We'd love to help, free of charge, doesn't cost you anything, no commitments. Have a great day, y'all. Talk to you soon.